always start with an opening centering. And so for our opening centering, I invite you to find a spot, a position that serves you and that you can maintain for just a little while. So you could be seated or you could be lying down. Both of those are wonderful options. You can be seated on a chair. You could even be lying on a couch. The main thing is that whatever position you choose, make yourself comfortable. Give yourself the joy of supports. So maybe a rolled blanket under the knees if you're lying down, and a blanket under the head reaching down past the end of the neck into the upper spine. If you're seated, sit, especially if you're on the floor, sit with the hips high enough. And you might notice I'm sitting on a yoga block so that the hips are higher than the knees, so that you can begin your practice with a body that feels supported and cared for, a breath that can flow freely through your body, and a mind that maybe has the opportunity to be settled because it knows that you are compassionately taking care of your needs in this moment. And then from there, I invite you to get settled in to whatever position you have chosen. And from there, to make a discerning choice about how you would like to place your eyes. Eyelids open, eyelids closed, or maybe eyelids at half-mast, to find a gentle gaze somewhere ahead of you on the floor or in your room. And you might also make a discerning choice about how you would like to place your hands, where different hand placements may send different signals to your nervous system. So maybe palms open signals that you're ready for inspiration. Perhaps palms down might signal that you are looking for a bit of grounding, a bit of support. Perhaps palms at the heart suggests to your nervous system that you're feeling a bit more introspective. And as always, whatever choices you make in this moment, if they no longer serve you after a bit, you can always do something different. Simply shift with mindfulness. And then arrive back wherever we are at that moment. And so to begin, I invite you to settle into your physical being, into your body. Perhaps gently tuning into what your body is bringing along this morning in terms of sensations. Engaging in that scan, not as a matter of judgment or identifying difficulty, but as a matter of meeting your body anew in this moment, just as it is, with great compassion, with great kindness, with an open heart toward whatever meets you. Maybe there's a bit of bracing, maybe there's a bit of tension, maybe there's a softness, maybe there's ease. Whatever your body is bringing your way, can you be with it simply, compassionately, and lovingly? Can you allow your body to be just as it is in this moment? And then holding your body in that compassionate awareness, gently tune into your energy this morning. How is your breath? How is your vitality showing up in this moment? Can you meet this vital aspect of your human experience with the same kindness, the same compassion, the same openness of heart as you are meeting your body. Can you simply watch your inhalations just as they are, receiving their nurturing? And then can you let go of each exhalation, allowing the exhalations just as they are, appreciating perhaps the release that comes with them. Can you notice what kind of energy or vitality may be expressed through your breath? Are you feeling tired or a bit agitated or perfectly balanced in your energy? Are there parts of you that maybe are a bit exhausted or fatigued, and other parts that feel just perfectly settled in their energy? Can you accept all equally, compassionately and kindly? And then can you hold body and vitality in compassionate awareness as you become aware of your mind? What stories, what thoughts are you bringing with you this morning? Is there a lot of chatter on your mind, or is your mind relatively still? Are there big thoughts or little thoughts? Are there compelling stories that your mind wants to follow? Or are there boring stories that are easy to let go of or not attached to? Are there stories of sadness or fear? Stories of anger? Stories of just the daily stuff that needs to be done? Maybe a little bit of all of that, maybe none of that. But whatever there is for you in your mind, on your mind right now, can you simply meet it for what it is? A story, a thought. Where our stories and thoughts are often like clouds in the sky. They arrive, maybe they linger, at some point they move away. Can you meet each story, each thought, each feeling with compassion, with kindness, with care? And holding body, vitality, and mind in compassionate awareness, can you marvel for a moment at your own intelligence and wisdom that allows you to watch your body, that allows you to observe your breath, that allows you to understand your mind stories? This deep inner wisdom that has the bigger picture always, that understands what came before, that anticipates what might come after, that can hold memories, that can envision a different future, a different way of being. A wisdom that is flexible, never rigid, always open to new ideas, compassionate, kind. Yes, this is always within us. We sometimes drown out our wisdom with stories, but our wisdom never, never deserts us. And when we can lean into our wisdom, when we can lean into our compassion, into our kindness, we also open the door to that fifth layer of human experience that is so precious, the seed for joy. The capacity to be connected to a greater community, to find purpose, joy, meaning, no matter what our circumstances in the moment. And from this place of having arrived in all 5 layers of your human experience, if it serves you, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart as you gently bow your head to your heart. To notice whether there is an intention that presents itself to you, an intention that arises from your wise, intelligent self, that gives you a quality or a meaning for your practice on the mat this morning. Maybe something really concrete comes up for you in the form of a word or a phrase, or maybe it's just a felt sense or a strange symbol that you don't know how to interpret, or maybe just an open space where an intention might arise later. Whatever is there, can you embrace it? And if you would like, you could even draw it into your own heart very deliberately with your next breath in. And you could silently share it outward into the greater web of life with your next breath out. And then whenever you feel ready to do so, you can release your hands if they were lifted. You can rise to a seat if you are on your back. You can open your eyes if they were closed, and you can lift your gaze if it was lowered. And welcome everyone to this moment, to this space, to this community. Such a joy to be together this morning as we embark on our third week of our month that is dedicated to resilience. And so in the first week, we talked about and felt, embodied resilience in the body, feeling its strength and its flexibility, its capacity to rest and to move. Last week, we focused a lot on our breath and how the breath can guide movement and how the breath can affect our mind. Today, we're really dedicating ourselves to playing and attending to those mind stories that I already alluded to in the opening centering. Our mind constantly processes what's happening in our world, the big challenges, the little challenges, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the difficult stuff, and it spins stories and feelings around those experiences. It's a beautiful thing our mind does for us because it also houses language and the capacity to communicate, to talk to people, to be an agent of your own destiny. But sometimes it can also lead us astray with stories of despair or hopelessness. And so when we move into resilience in the mind, we begin to pay attention to what the stories are that we're telling ourselves, and then to find a balance. So if there's a story of despair, we balance that story with hope and with the capacity to look at where we have goodness in our life. If there is a story of, I can do anything, we can balance that with, yes, and I have realities that maybe limit some of the things that I can do anymore. So it's finding that middle way between the extremes of life. Always having to be strong, always being weak. No, we have to have both. We have moments where we can lean into our neediness and moments when we lean into our strength. Do I always have to be humble, or do I always have to brag? No, I can be in the middle. Sometimes I show what I know, and sometimes I show what I don't. And this serves us well as we deal with medical providers, with making decisions for our treatment, with just being in relationship in daily life. So that's kind of what you'll hear me cueing today, is this idea of noticing our mind stories and not so much contradicting them, but noticing them and then having a conversation with them to say, is there another perspective here? Is this a real belief or a false belief? And what serves me in this moment? So anyway, enough talk. Let's move. So with our breath in, let's move our arms up and overhead. And if your body craves for more action right now, and then exhale, arms come down, you can stand and do this. If your body craves more quietude, maybe your arms just travel a little bit. Or maybe if there are restrictions in your range of motion, you allow yourself compassionately not to push past that point of pain, but to simply be where you are with your arm movement. Don't let your mind tell you a story that your arms should move in a particular way. Whenever you hear a should or a can't, get a little bit suspicious about the story that follows. So yeah, even just moving our arms up and down give us plenty of opportunity to see if there's like a habitual story or feeling that's behind how we move. And can we give ourselves permission to move from a mind that has found balance and that accurately appraises our reality in this moment? So a couple more times, up and down, and just notice if as you move up, there's like extra straining to reach really high, and if you can let go of any unnecessary bracing. And as you travel down, maybe notice if there's kind of a little bit of collapse at the end, and can you just bring some action into even the descent. One last time, up and down. And then we inhale and bring the arms up and keep them there for a moment. Whatever up means for you, for some that may be here, for some that may be here, for some that may be here. Only you know what's possible in your body and your vitality in this moment. If it's feasible in the position that your arms are in, turn your palms forward and spread your fingers wide. Let yourself ground to the earth through the sits bones if you're seated, through the feet if you're standing. Feel that connection to the earth. And then notice if you can release the shoulder girdle down a little bit so that the shoulder blades settle onto your back as you keep that engagement through the fingertips. Your arm placement might change over time because you're starting to feel the weight of your arms. And so allow yourself compassionately to make adjustments as you keep focusing on grounding through your base and reaching up without excessive bracing in the shoulder girdle, reaching energy out through your fingertips, reaching for the heavens in a way through your hands as you're grounding to the earth, and feel the balance in your core at your center. That's resilience. When we can be grounded and expansive and balanced at the same time, maybe not exactly in the same moment, but maybe in succession, we are resilient. All possibilities are open that are available in this moment. And then with your next exhalation, you can release your arms down and shake them out. Shake out your shoulders. If you're standing, you could even hop around a little bit. You could wiggle within your hips. You can do that even if you're seated, right? You can absolutely shake and wiggle no matter what position you're in. And then I will come to my knees, but I'm not saying you should come to your knees. I'm just doing that so that you can see me. But this next movement will be easier if you're standing. So imagine that I'm standing. And if you feel ready to stand, come to standing. If not, you can still do this in a seat. Just make sure you don't hit your own knees. So you'll just have to modify a little bit. You'll have to figure out how it works for you. What we'll do from here, and we'll start with the right hand for a couple of times, then we'll do it with the left hand a couple of times, and then we'll start alternating, which your mind will spin a little bit in the beginning, but it'll catch on. So you're going to take your arm, your right arm, bring it out to the side a little bit, and then the palm faces in as you sweep the arm across your body and then up. And now the palm faces out as it makes this big circle. It faces in as it crosses the body, and then the palm faces out as it is lifted toward the sky. So that's the movement on one side. Now we'll do the same on the other side. Left hand comes out to the side whenever you're ready for it. Left arm comes out to the side, and then the arm sweeps across, palm facing the body. The arm sweeps up. Now the palm turns out so that it faces away. It comes down to the side. Now the palm faces the body as you sweep across. You might notice just how much when you take this circle with your arm, your body wants to move. Allow your body to move. Bring that resilience into the body as you maybe now do this, alternating one arm at a time. Stay very deliberate and discerning about the palm facing out when the arm reaches up, and the palm facing the body as the arm sweeps across. Let your body move flexibly. We're bringing everything together. This resilience in the body, right? To move flexibly, but with profound strength, even in this moment. The resilience of the breath as it naturally adapts here to how you are choosing now to move either with speed or without speed. So you can choose if you want to move a bit more quickly, or if you want to stay at a nice, calm, gentle place. How do you decide that? Well, you tuned into your vitality earlier. If you felt depleted, exhausted, worn out, then maybe it's better for you to move slowly. If, on the other hand, you came in kind of tired, but more in the sense of, oh, I need something to wake me up, maybe then you move more quickly. Agitation is always a tough one in terms of vitality. Sometimes if you come to a practice already agitated, it helps at first to move more quickly and then to find some quietude. But sometimes you just need to slow down to stop that agitation. So notice, and yeah, we're going on here for quite a while. So maybe 2 or 3 more circles on each side. Maybe not overthinking it, just letting it happen. And then come to stillness. If you went really fast, you may need to take a couple of circles more slowly. If you went slowly, maybe you're already right there, arms by your side, or maybe hands at your heart as you sense into your energy, into your body, and maybe into the mind story that is coming up for you as you pause for a moment and tune in. Tuning in is one of the greatest yogic superpowers that we can develop. And it's particularly helpful to tune in the midst of challenge, and we often forget that. And so we always build this into our practice for that reason. From here, whenever you are ready to go, I invite you to take a winner's stance, like you pretend you just came through the finish line and you're like, wow, I did it. So yeah, you could even make the sound, wow, I did it. And notice how this kind of extends your spine. You kind of naturally come into an open-hearted position. And just feel that for a few moments, this, wow, I'm here, wow, I did it. Moving only, of course, as far as your own body can support. And then bring your hands in and feel the opposite of, whew, now I can let go, I did it. Phew, I can let go. As you gently come forward, so whatever works for your body, right? I'm showing this relatively quickly, but you could move very quietly and say, wow, okay, now I can let go. And so now those are the opposites that we're focusing on. You can continue to do one or the other, or you can combine them now of, wow, I did it. Phew, I can let go. Wow, I did it. Let go. So you, of course, define your own range of motion, right? Maybe your arms are here. Maybe your arms are here for the winner. Maybe the winner's here. It all depends on what works for you, how your spine can move, how your range of motion is at the moment through the chest, through the armpits, the upper arms. So don't force, but also don't undersell it. Still be the winner and still be the one who lets go. Couple more times. Speed is not of the essence. Embracing that winning moment and that letting go moment. is of the essence. And then when you are ready to do so, the next time you have released and let go, when you come up, simply bring yourself either to standing or seated with arms at your side, or you could bring your hands to your heart and once again feel into your own heartbeat, your own vitality. Maybe noticing there's a bit more activation. And perhaps noticing how the body slowly, gently, kindly, wisely re-regulates itself. This too is part of that inner wise layer of experience. You don't have to think about, ooh, I need to slow down my heartbeat. You can let your body take care of that. In fact, it's often the thinking mind that gets in the way of calming, or that gets in the way of activating by spinning a story that isn't entirely true. And so as we learn to listen to the wisdom of the body and the wisdom of the breath, we often also begin to transform the mind. You can stay here if your heartbeat is still very strong and allow that heartbeat to settle a little bit more. Or if you feel like it's time to move on, I invite you to bring your arms to your side, and now you have choices. You can stay standing and begin to make our beloved hula hoop. Or if you're seated, you can take our Sufi circles. And I say ours because we've done them together so many times by now. It feels like a group activity, right? So you decide which way you want to go. Seated with Sufi circles, where I like to call this, as some of you know, stirring the pot of experience. You're sort of using your shoulder girdle to scrape the sides of a pot. That's the imagery anyway, right? So that's the rotation if you're seated. If you're standing, then you could imagine you are stirring that pot with your hips. And maybe you do a little bit of both. And then at some point, switch directions. And just notice, sort of with some curiosity, in which direction did you go first? Did you go clockwise or counterclockwise first? There's like absolutely no right or wrong, but it's so fascinating to recognize that our body has patterns, our mind has patterns, our breath has patterns. And so we all tend to start things on a particular side or in a particular way. There's nothing good or bad about it, but it is a reflection of habit. Physical habit, breath habit, mind habit. Switch directions again. And part of what we do in yoga is to find balance between opposites and to kind of try to notice habits and to chuck them when they aren't actually helpful, and to lean into them if they serve us. And switch directions one more time. Just notice if the mind is telling a different story when you're going in the opposite direction of the one that your body naturally chose. It might tell you a story of, ooh, this doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel right. Or it might tell you a story of, oh, wow, it actually is fun to go against the grain every now and then. And then very gently, in your own way, come to stillness here. Maybe the arms come to your side. Maybe you need a little wiggle or a shake or a reset. But at some point, maybe your hands come to the heart for yet another check-in. Another opportunity to return from challenge into quietude. To listen inward. To notice how the body settles, how the breath settles. and to notice what the story is in the mind right now. Not to change it, not to attach to it, not to be averse to it, but just to notice it. And just like those clouds in the sky, you might notice, sometimes the story lingers for a bit. Sometimes it just poof, comes and goes. You can stay here and continue to observe as long as it suits you. Or if you're ready to move on, you can release the hands. And now I too have to come to standing, so I'll be headless for a moment, but just know that my head is still there. All my chattering kind of is proof of that. And we'll come to our chair now to continue our little journey into our sun salutes this month. You can work with a chair. You could also, if you would like, have a couple of blocks handy if you have a sun salute practice that takes you closer to the floor. So there's like no requirement for this or that. It's just a matter of what suits you in this moment. I will mostly demo on the chair, but every now and then I might show something on blocks, especially if I see on the screen that there are folks who are using the blocks. So if you don't have blocks, paper towel roll with some rubber bands around in the upright position also works great. So we'll start by standing so that we're facing the chair or the blocks if you're using blocks. And that same sun breath that we started with at the beginning of class will serve us now. So for a couple times, inhale and reach the arms up, just as we did at the beginning, and then exhale and bring the arms down. And as you bring the arms up again, this time notice if you can draw the low hips, the low ribs toward the hips a bit to find a bit of engagement in your core. And as the arms travel down, can you find a lifting inward and upward of the pelvic floor as the belly button perhaps draws a little closer to the spine. We'll do that one more time. And don't overthink this. Just notice that maybe you have to brace a tiny bit through your core when you're standing and doing this movement. The next time your arms come down on the exhale, let them land in the hip creases, so this spot right here, and allow your fingertips to press back into those hip creases so that your upper body comes forward from this hip hinge, not by rounding the back. And let your hands land either on the chair or if you're using them on the blocks. Maybe give yourself the pleasure of a support for the hands, even if you have a sun salute practice that's usually hands on the floor already. But we really want to work with discernment today, and so the chair and the blocks are perfect for that. For a moment, let yourself move forward, shoulders past the wrists, and then back. And notice how this shifts where you feel your weight, either in your feet or your hands or both, maybe even in different parts of your hands or your feet. This is just another way to notice that balance is the middle way between usually two other extremes. When you really move forward here, you might notice the weight shifting into the fingers and into the toes. When you really push back, you might notice now a lot of the weight is in the heels, and maybe there's some in the hand, but it's a lot in the feet. And then see if you can find the middle way of having your weight distributed between your hands and your feet. And almost press the chair away from you as if you were trying to push it into the earth or the blocks. And then notice how this changes the placement of your shoulder blades on your back. And just to really feel this, With your next breath out, let your chest drop between the arms. Maybe you even bend your elbows a little bit and feel how your shoulder blades now nestle onto your back. And then press the floor away again with your hands. Feel the shoulder blades separate on your back. And do this a couple more times. We call this shoulder flossing. It's actually really helpful for the shoulder joint that's sort of facing forward diagonally, but it's also really helpful for getting your shoulder blades on your back kind of unstuck. Sometimes they get really stuck with adhesions and fascia, and so we're just creating flexibility here through the strength of pressing the earth away with the hands. Okay, now from here, once again, find your core engagement by drawing the belly button toward the spine. You could stick out your tongue really forcefully on the exhalation, and you'll really feel your core kick in. And on that strength, you can bring your hands to your low back, and with an inhalation, rise up with your back in its natural curves. And let the arms release to your side. And take a round of breath here. Wait for an inhalation. Bring your arms up. Wait for an exhalation to once again dive forward. Give yourself the pleasure of fingertips in the hip creases so that you come forward with this natural curve in your spine, not rounding. And we're going to shoulder floss one more time. So pressing the earth away, feeling the shoulder blades separating on the back, and then sinking toward the ground with your breastbone leading the charge. And just let yourself enjoy, and maybe notice if there's a mind story. You know, maybe there's a story of, what the heck is this? I haven't done this before. Or maybe there's a story of, oh yeah, I love this. It feels so good. Or maybe, you know, the mind doesn't have much of a comment at all. Just notice. And then at the end of your next, either inhale or exhale, doesn't actually matter. Just come to the middle way, where you feel your shoulder blades kind of moving toward each other gently. You feel your belly button drawing toward the spine gently. Maybe you even feel a slight lift in the pelvic floor on the exhale. And then from here, notice if it feels okay for you to begin to come forward just a tiny bit more. Not with rounding the back a whole lot, but maybe bending the knees a bit instead, so that the back stays kind of almost in its natural curves. As the head maybe moves toward the chair, if you have the pleasure of a chair, you could even rest the head on the chair if that's comfortable for you. Maybe a little pillow would be nice there. Mine has kind of a sharp edge here that doesn't feel so great. So I'm going to let my head hang. You have that choice too. And if you feel happy in your back here, maybe the hands release from the chair, from the block, and maybe they find a spot on your legs. But they don't have to. They can be very happy on the blocks or on the chair. And notice how much more engagement you might feel in your legs now as they are carrying all of your body weight by themselves. You can create even more strength here by imagining that you're turning the legs, especially the low legs and the feet, outward without actually moving them on the outside. You'll feel that muscular firing up here that we call isometric engagement, and it's a powerful strengthener. With your next inhalation, place the hands back onto the chair and let yourself rise back to this half lift where we did our shoulder flossing before. And then allow the hands to travel to the low back. Hold yourself in this half lift for a moment. Find engagement in the belly. Maybe you do a exhale and then Inhale your way up and release the hands by your side. That, my friends, was half a sun salute already. Yeah, if you need to wiggle or shake, I see that on the screen, please feel free to do that. Sometimes we build just a tiny bit of tension as we explore things. Yeah, so before we take the next round and take it a little bit farther, let yourself feel good. Yeah, so whenever you are ready to return toward your chair or your blocks, go on ahead, find a nice distance to the chair, wait for the inhalation to lift the arms up and overhead, wait for the exhalation to descend, hands arriving on the chair or on the blocks, and then with an exhale, perhaps descend a little bit lower, let the knees bend, so that your low back doesn't strain as you come into this forward fold. With an inhalation, rise back to your half lift and then step the right foot slightly closer to the chair and the left foot way back behind you. Let the left heel float. It doesn't need to reach the earth at all, and keep your hips both pointing forward. So if you imagine you had headlamps on the front of your hips, the both lights would shine straight forward and directly to the chair. And what that means is you have to draw your forward leg back into its hip socket and the back leg forward. And that will give you that arrangement. And of course your hands can still be on the chair. Sorry, I didn't say that. And so you are here in a lunge position. And the big thing really is to let yourself arrive here. Your mind may already be telling you, oh, I know where we're going. Let me just go ahead and lift up. But can you just be patiently in this lunge, hands on the chair, just thinking about drawing the forward leg back, back leg forward, and feel the fire this ignites in your legs, right? It actually really cultivates a lot of strength in the legs to have this movement that you can't see at all on the outside, but on the inside, that effort of drawing the forward leg back and the back leg forward is like a scissoring action in your legs, and it's very strengthening. At the end of your next exhalation, step the left foot forward to meet the right, and take a moment to shake out your right leg and then your left leg before we switch sides, just in case. That scissoring action can be quite profound, so if it created a little bit of tension, maybe you need to walk it out just a tiny bit. Just notice. And then whenever you feel ready, the left foot's already in the correct spot. Step the right foot back. Let the right heel float. And then do that scissoring action on this side. So now the left femur draws back into the hip socket and the right femur draws forward into the hip socket. So that if you were to lift up, the direction, both hips would be like parallel to each other from the side, and your headlights would shine straight forward to your chair. So you're not opening up to the side where now the headlights would shine off in a diagonal. Give yourself the pleasure of the hands on the chair to feel that engagement in the legs. Notice the story in the mind. Is it becoming impatient? Because we're just holding here with nothing to do. But that's life. Sometimes we have holding patterns. And if we have resilience, strength, capacity during those holding patterns while we wait for something, well, that in the end serves us quite well. From here, if you feel strong, you'll step your left foot back to meet the right. If you feel like your vitality doesn't quite support that, let the right foot step forward to meet the left. So yogi's choice. So stepping forward means coming here and maybe taking a rest. Stepping back would bring you here into a plank. In this plank, do that same pushing away of the chair that we did earlier when we shoulder flossed, where the shoulder blades are separating on your back. Pretend you're really trying to push this chair away from you into the earth and feel how much strength this fires up in your shoulder girdle. If you can add a little bit of that drawing the low ribs toward the hips, you might feel engagement in the core. If you're having a hard time finding that, then on an exhale, stick out your tongue, lion's breath. If you are in the plank shape, gently take one foot, let it step forward a tiny bit, then the other foot, let it step forward a tiny bit, and walk your way forward to the chair. Release and let go for a moment. If it feels okay for you, you could even let the arms dangle. And whenever you feel ready to do so, you can bring the hands on the low back. Wait for an inhalation. And let the strength of the inhale carry you all the way up, where you can either wiggle, move, or shake, or you can bring your hands to your heart for a moment to tune in. A sun salute is a beautiful embodiment of resilience. It moves almost every joint, every large joint in your body through its range of motion. And it really invites you to feel your strength at your core. And your sun salute unfolds most auspiciously when your mind can be very focused on what you're doing, when it doesn't get distracted into stories. And then check in with your vitality. And if your vitality is flagging today and you need a bit of ease, then take a seat and do the movements with the arms in a seat. Otherwise, if your vitality wants more, we'll take one more round of sun salute. So a lot of the movements can be done seated, right? So you can go like this and fold forward. That's your version. Otherwise, be here. And whenever you feel an inhalation coming, allow your arms to travel up. With the exhalation, let yourself come into your half lift. Inhale here, and perhaps with an exhale, gently fold forward a little bit more. Yogi's choice about how far you go. Maybe you simply rest your head on your forearms on the chair. Let an inhalation bring you back to a half lift. Step the left foot closer to the chair, the right foot back. Find your scissoring action in the legs. Let that back heel hover. Don't make an angle of the heel or all that stuff you sometimes hear about in yoga classes. Doesn't really serve you all that well. Now you have choice. You can stay here and feel that isometric engagement, or you can keep that isometric engagement. Bring your hands to your low back and bring the upper body upright. Yogi's choice. You can stay here with your hands on your back, or if your hands are on the chair, or if you would like, you can take your arms behind you and then up and overhead with an inhalation. Take a breath or two or even three here and feel into this warrior. Feel your own strength on a base of flexibility. Feel your potential here on a base of capacity. And can you feel your strength in the context of being kind and compassionate to yourself in this expression, your expression, wherever you are of this shape? When you feel ready to do so, waiting for an exhalation, the hands can travel down and then to the chair. And then you can either step forward to make a switch to the other side, or you can step back via a plank to the other side. Yogi's choice, whatever you do, end up with the right foot forward and the left foot back, so that you've basically switched sides. Find your scissoring action here. Find your core engagement. We can only lift up from a base of strength. We can let our limbs become flexible and invite them to move when we are strong at our core. So find the scissoring action. Maybe the hands are at your low back. Maybe they're on the chair. Strength comes first, then perhaps the flexibility of lifting the arms up and overhead. Feel into your power here, but also know that power isn't everything. We also need to know how to depend on the support from others. We come into our own agency with the knowledge that at some point we also need to accept help. We can't do it alone. That's a myth. Self-sufficiency is a myth. And then when you feel ready to do so, you can bring your arms down, either back to the low back or forward to the chair. And then whenever you are ready, if you're in this position, step the back foot forward. Inhale here, and then exhale into a forward fold. If you're seated, you can do that too. Take maybe 2 or 3 breaths in this surrendering position. Surrendering to what is, surrendering to the reality of the moment. Maybe you notice a little bit of shaking in some of your muscles. Can you be compassionate with that rather than worried about it or upset at it? We are all pretty likely to have created some strength and engagement in muscles that don't often get a workout. They need to work that stress out, so they may shake a tiny bit. Whenever you are ready, meaning wait for your inhalation to come back to a half lift. Find that external rotation in the legs, find the engagement in the core, hands travel to the low back, and with an inhalation, lift yourself up to standing and let the hands land on your heart. You can either stand or you can come to a seat as you let this experience wash over you. Sense into your body. Notice your breath. Notice your mind story. Again, not to get entangled in it, but to be curious. Maybe the story has changed. Maybe the state of mind that you brought with you has changed. Can you be with whatever is? Can you let go of any need to change anything? Just trusting that the body will re-regulate, the breath will smooth, the mind will settle. And from here, gently find your way into whatever position you would like to choose for your closing silence. So you could come to a seat on a chair, maybe leaning into the back of the chair, wrapping yourself up in a blanket, or you could sit on the earth, or you could allow your body to fully release by lying down on the earth. Maybe bringing a blanket under the head down toward the shoulder blades, maybe rolling a blanket under your legs, so that you can lie down with ease, with comfort, giving yourself the pleasure of some props. As you settle yourself in, take a moment yet again to check in with your body and invite the greatest sense of ease that's possible for you in your body in this moment. Letting go of any holding or gripping that's not necessary for the shape that you have chosen. And if that doesn't work, that's fine. If some muscles continue to hold, that's totally okay. There's no need in fighting anything. You're just giving permission, and then you're letting happen whatever will happen as you surrender your body to the earth. From here, briefly check in with your breath. Inviting the breath to find the greatest sense of ease, the greatest softness that is possible in this moment without forcing anything, not imposing change, just inviting a softness, a letting go in the breath as you surrender the breath to the flow of life force that moves through all of us. And then check in for a moment with your mind, your state of mind, your stories of mind, your feelings of mind. And invite the mind as well to find its greatest softness, the greatest ease that is possible in this moment. Not imposing anything, not expecting anything, just making an invitation and then surrendering your mind to your deeper inner wisdom that will guide you back to what is necessary later. And from this place of having surrendered, of having let go of any gripping, having let go of any expectations, I invite you into about a minute of silence until my voice brings you back. And very, very gently invite your senses to reawaken to the outer and inner world. Perhaps noticing the sounds in your environment, noticing the air on your face, the clothing or the blanket on your skin. Perhaps noticing inner sensations that suggest that your body needs to stretch or wiggle, or that it simply wants to continue to rest. And then noticing very consciously how your breath is unfolding in this moment. Feeling the inhalation as you draw the breath in, and the exhalation as you release a breath out. And if you are lying on the earth and you would like to close the practice at a seat, this is a perfect time to begin to make that transition in a gentle, quiet way. And from a seat, I invite you, if it serves you, to draw your hands to your heart. And to let yourself sense into your own resilience. Maya Angelou says, I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. It's a beautiful way of expressing resilience, perhaps a bit more poetically. And then take a moment to notice if there's a takeaway for you from class today, something meaningful, something interesting, something important, something that seems worthwhile letting settle into your body and into your mind, so that you can bring it off the mat. And then notice if that takeaway in some way relates to the intention that you had set earlier, to create a dedication of merit from your time on the mat, something that serves you and your committee. And if such a dedication emerges for you, perhaps you use your next breath in to seal it into your own heart. And then perhaps you use your next breath out to silently release it outward into your community of choice. And thank you all so much for being here this morning, for being part of this beautiful community, and for practicing with care, compassion, and resilience. Thank you all.
Thank you.